Welcome back to Your 1230, the only podcast where our guests tell their story with the help of just 12 questions in 30 minutes. I'm your host, Mike Salitro, and tonight we are thrilled to be speaking with Daniel Spencer. Daniel's been through hell and back. He's been sober for over 12 years after abusing marijuana and alcohol as a teenager into his late 20s. He's been married for almost 20 years with 3 kids, all teenagers. He's almost been divorced, gone through a total body transformation, after being almost 300 pounds, now is down to about 170. He was in a near-death electrical accident twice with third-degree burns to his face and multiple skin graft surgeries. Daniel, welcome. We are excited to be speaking with you.
Thanks for having me, Mike. Appreciate it.
Of course. And I cut the bio short. There's plenty more I could go into, but stopping there, I want to make sure I follow up on everything. When you meet someone new, how do you introduce yourself?
In person, I just introduce myself as Daniel. Daniel, I'm a husband, I'm a father. And when I introduce myself to people, like through social media, I call myself a life coach. I call myself a blue collar worker. I'm just a family guy.
That's a good answer. Thank you for that. I ask because you've had more life experiences than most at a fairly young age. I'm kind of starting at the beginning there, going through hell and back. When you use that phrase, I assume there were some dark times. Is there something specifically you look back, it's like, man, I can't believe I made it through that, but I'm a stronger person because I did?
Yeah, I think probably one of the worst parts of my life was overcoming, becoming sober. I wouldn't say overcoming alcohol, right? Because it's an everyday struggle. It's always in the back of my head. But I'd say making the choice to finally be sober was one of the huge parts. Right after that, my relationship with my wife became better. I started losing weight because of all the food and alcohol I was drinking. That was probably the hardest part.
I get a chance to talk to some pretty amazing folks through the show and kind of on a daily basis here. And a common theme seems to be the availability to either completely cut out or drastically reduce the things that we either put into our body that we shouldn't, or do the things that we know are not good for ourselves, for our business, for our lives. So making that decision to become sober, not an easy one, as you referenced. Was there a flashpoint? Was there one thing that happened, or was it progression over time?
I think it was one point in particular. I mean, my wife would always tell me, Daniel, you're drinking too much. I gained excessive weight over the course of a year, or not 1 year. Over the course of probably 3 or 4 years, I gained 100 pounds from so much drinking and overeating. So I used to smoke a lot of weed. I used to sell weed, smoke a lot of weed, and then once I got a job with the city in the power trade, had a commercial license, so random drug tests were a constant thing. So I stopped smoking, and I still needed that crutch, that thing that was gonna, bottle my emotions, hide my pain. So I started drinking more, and it was on a it was at a Super Bowl party. It was a Super Bowl party, Super Bowl 45, and I drove home drunk. I was drinking all day, and I could have called my wife to have her come pick me up. The only difference this time was I had my kids with me. I had both of my kids with me. And I got home and I started having more drinks. And it was about 10:30, and I was looking down on my glass, and it just hit me. I was like, dude, what are you doing? You're going to screw your life up. You're risking it every day. Every day I would leave work, go straight to the liquor store. I had a 2.5 hour commute at the time. So by the time I got home, I'd be drunk, and I would continue drinking until I blacked out. But that night was the night. I had that self actualization, and I didn't know what to do. Like, I mean, I knew what to do. I knew I needed to stop drinking. I would tell myself every morning I'd wake up with a hangover. But I spoke it out loud to somebody. So I made a couple phone calls. I tried to call my brother, who I just left his house, called my dad, no answers, and I called my uncle, and I just opened up to him. I told him what was going on. Told him, man, I have a huge problem here. And he advised me to go the next day to check myself into a program. So I went through my healthcare my health insurance, and I went to a substance abuse program. I was going 2 to 3 days a night. Yeah. And that's kind of where it hit me again, like a lot of these people that were there, they were addicted to hard drugs, they really strong hard drugs. And I had a great career, a beautiful family, and I was just weak-willed.
Thank you for sharing that. That can't be easy. You describe it very vividly, and I think a lot of people listening can relate to uh, making that, I won't say a mistake, but making the kind of same choice over and over, and then it graduating to a time when you realize that there are children, there are innocent people involved, that this is not just something that's affecting me. And the way you tell it kind of is very vivid, that you can see how, it really was this built up over time, but this one
Yeah.
event sticks out. Um, there are probably people listening to this who are trying to go that way, trying to become sober, trying to cut back on things they should. Is there any advice or anything that you could tell them as far as a first step or things they could try that they might not know already?
I mean, when I went to my first meeting with my counselor, he made it seem so simple. He said, you just have to say no. It starts with the auto suggestion. I mean, we already know what we want to change in ourselves, but we rationalize the reason why we won't stop. We'll make an excuse, either it's a family event, or it's a wedding that I want to just one last time, one last let loose. You just have to auto suggest yourself no, and keep saying that to yourself every time you try to rationalize that urge or that feeling. But I think ultimately, with all things in life that you're struggling with, that you want to make yourself better with, you just need to seek guidance. You need to find somebody that's going to help you along that path. A counselor for 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 substance abuses. If you're having marital problems, go see a counselor. If you have weight loss goals or nutrition goals, you see a trainer. When we have medical issues, or we're bleeding profusely, we don't try and take care of it ourselves, right? We go to the doctor. We deal with the professionals.
That's good advice. I want to follow up on two parts there. First, the seeking guidance from an expert piece. I think that's wonderful advice. That, as you reference, if we need a doctor, we find a doctor. But sometimes when it's something wrong with ourselves, we try to fix it ourselves, and that's not the right thing to do. Do you recall that conversation with your uncle that he was lucky that he picked up? Anything that he told you that stuck with you?
Um, Not really. Not really. I think I just needed to express it to somebody openly. I mean, it kind of hurts me saying now, and I've thought about it over the years, because my wife would always tell me she was the most concerned person because she saw it up front every single day. It was affecting her the most. And instead of walking in the house and telling her, I didn't have the courage. I didn't have the courage to do that. I think maybe it was ego. Maybe I was like, I just need to talk to another man about this. Um, Maybe it was just embarrassment. And but if there was one particular thing, maybe he made me realize too. Yeah, man. You have a great career. You have a beautiful family. You're risking it all. And I don't really remember how far that conversation went, but I definitely remember how it made me feel.
Thank you for sharing that. The other thing I wanted to hit on was the point, and I mean, you probably get into this a lot with your clients, if not you yourself or your family, but we probably know what we want, but that we rationalize away why it's okay to stick with the risky behavior, with the destructive behavior, because it's just one more time, or this is different, or it's not that big a deal. That especially, and as you referenced, that your wife kind of objectively from the situation, she can tell, and I'm sure when you have objective eyes, like this is what's wrong, and we know those things, but we tend to rationalize it. So how do you help others not only identify what they need, what steps they need to take and where they want to go, but how to actually take those steps?
Once I finally come in contact with somebody that's really interested and really ready to make those changes for themselves, I kind of figure out what they were doing before, what didn't work, either if it was, like a fad diet, a short term fix. Um, but ultimately, I dig down because I'm very open. I'm very open about my struggles on my social media. I talk about what I went through, and I'm just honest. I say, hey, man, a lot of a lot of us go through the same things. We all go through the same struggles. We all go through the same problems. So I just try and remind them about where they were and where they're going to go. Right. removing these vices are making us feel this way. They're making us look this way. They're making us act a certain way. If we knock those out and replace those with something good and healthy that's going to benefit you long term, let's stay focused on that. Let's not let that go.
That's good advice. I think as you referenced, the first point is to know what it is, to focus on it, and to make incremental progress forward. With your line of work and with the path that you're on, two big pillars there are fitness and nutrition, and those are areas that relate to almost anybody as an area of potential difficulty, either one or the other. Uh, do you have a one that you focus on first? Do they take them hand in hand, or how do they work together? And how are you helping others realize that you need both?
I say we need three. There's one element I left out there was mindset. Starting off the day and journaling, right? Getting in something positive, something that you're either going to read or listen to. I usually listen to some videos on YouTube on stoicism. Journaling your regrets from the day before, journaling your intentions for the day. Not really writing out goals, because those are short-term things. Those are long-term things, right? That we want to handle one day at a time. Let's focus on what we can tackle today, and then just continue that day after day. So it's creating a stronger mindset that's going to lock in the habits of meal prepping, reducing our calories slightly, and pushing ourselves physically to create ultimately the body that we essentially probably grew up never having, always admiring, and that in turn that's going to build the confidence. It's going to build the feeling of accomplishment, which is going to boost your mental fortitude. It's going to make you stronger. Um, Limiting our desires builds strength in our character.
I could not agree more, and I'm glad that you bring up the mindset piece, because I feel like that's the foundation for almost any worthwhile or positive transformation. That's where it needs to start, or at least needs to be examined. Of what are we thinking about? What are we hoping to achieve, and how are we going to get there? Because that's one thing that even personally I discounted for a long time. That was like, I'm bright. I'm well read. I know what's going on. I don't have to worry about my personal mindset. And the more you take a step back and you start looking at those things, journaling, taking some time just to look at both I like that you mentioned the tactical piece, that something for today, something I can do right now that'll make a difference, something that'll bring me forward, as opposed to this is what I want to do this month, this year, this 10 years type thing. That give me
Yeah.
something actionable. That it's so powerful, and it sounds so basic, and it's not difficult, but it's not easy it's not easy either. So thank you for bringing that as the first piece. Do you get a lot of pushback when you bring that up, or what do you hear most when you talk to either your clients or family about that?
A lot of people say they don't know what to write about. What do I journal about? I've never journaled before. Um, my parents divorced when I was like 12 years old, and my mom gave me a book. She goes, journal, write about things. And I'm like, I open it up and I'm like, what am I supposed to write about? You know? So now I kind of give them a baseline on where to go, just what can I change for myself today? What do I regret? Like, did I break out of character yesterday? Did I cheat on my diet? Did I, should I have helped somebody when I knew I could have? Let's focus on that. Let's face that problem. Let's change that. And going back to hitting those daily tasks, if you keep continuing in these positive ways, your long-term goals are going to reach you. You're going to reach them eventually. The more wins you stack short term, you're going to get those long-term goals eventually.
Absolutely. There's real momentum there that if you can start building, keep stacking those small things, it's incredible. When you start looking back, it's like I've actually accomplished a lot here, and I am on my path. And this isn't as difficult as it is. I'm going to certainly mess it up, but the first step being the most difficult. But once you kind of get started there, the momentum will help you. Um, I, I I wanted to ask, when you are I don't know, I've just lost my note there. Uh, when Oh, I know what I want to ask you. You mentioned being a 12-year-old, very difficult age, and an age is difficult to have divorced parents, but having that in your house, and now you have a 20-year relationship, not easy, especially with the difficulty that you've overcome. How are you able to maintain that personal relationship and get it to a place that today I'm assuming is a really good spot given what you've gone through?
Yeah, it just have to keep pouring in love into it. There's times where I'm acting selfish, either trying to build my coaching program bigger or put in more work hours. There's a times where I have to step back a little bit and refocus and realign my true intentions. Um, and we've had lots of rough times, and we've been to marriage counseling. Like I said, if you're having problems with something like that, you need to seek help, and we have. You know, one big thing that, I mean, I wouldn't say it helped, but I was looking at the silver lining for us was like during COVID. During COVID, I was off of work. I was working every other week, and spending a lot of time at home really helped. When I got into my accident, I was off of work for 5 months, and being an everyday, figure here at the house, um, our relationship grew and grew. Yeah. Date nights, man. You got to schedule date nights.
And that seems to be the answer for a lot of when we're not sure of what to do. Sometimes showing up, being present, and just being available is a great place to start. So I'm glad that you shared that. Um, you mentioned your coaching practice. What can you tell us about that?
So I work with a lot of people in my trade, a lot of people that are blue collar, a lot of men, mostly mid 30s to mid to late 40s, and a lot of them deal with not having the right nutrition on job sites. They say they don't have enough time to work out. So that's why I show my process every single day. I show what time I get up. I post my workouts at the gym. I post a workout. I show the foods that I'm eating. So what I do is I'll take their goal weight, however much weight they want to lose. I'll set them proper nutrition plan as far as how many proteins, carbs, and fats to eat per day. Set them on a calorie limit, and I give them a workout plan that's suitable for their capabilities. And we have weekly Zoom meetings. I have weekly team meetings. I check in with them, every couple of days and make sure everything's going good. There's a couple of apps that I use that tracks that I can see the food that they're tracking. And when I see that things are starting to become inconsistent, that's when I really reach out and figure out, hey man, what are we missing here? What's going on? And essentially it's something on the other side of that. It's not just procrastination or you know what, I forgot. It's usually something happens at home, or something knocks them off their path as far as friends or something. And that's the one I have to remind them. We're on this journey to make ourselves better, to make ourselves stronger mentally, um, so we can handle our emotions and make sure we don't fall off tracks when those life tests come, because they come all the time. They always hit.
Word journey there is perfect, especially with the topics that we're talking about, that there is never or very rarely a finish line. There's always something else to work toward, or that it's, even though if we hit a goal, there is a higher purpose, or there's something better, or a faster time you can run, or a lower weight. So it's the way to,
Yeah.
I love the way to think about it as a journey.
Yeah,
You mentioned,
the higher
uh,
purpose is what it's all about, becoming better than who we were. And it's going to gravitate and show your work and your worth to other people, and then they're going to want to know how you did it, and you're going to want to inspire change in them. Now we're changing everybody.
kind of building off that, your story is one that is a powerful one, and it's a personal transformation, and it's it shows amazing growth. How, when working with others, it's difficult to sometimes have when you're helping them with the things that we're talking about, with mindset, with fitness, with diet, that it's certainly not a one size fits all. So how are you able to kind of translate your story to what they're either going through, what lies ahead, or how do you help them kind of see that although it's not the same, that what you endured can help them move forward.
Yeah, I think I explained how I used to make all the same excuses that they were probably making. You know, I always used to say I didn't have enough time or I would be too tired. And just showing up every day, I show up every day on my Instagram and I just stick to it. I won't stop because it's going to help somebody. And there's times where I do want to stop. It's tired. I work 11 hours, every day, and and then I still have to try and coach people and help them out. And there's days I want to stop, and then I get a message from a new follower, and they're saying, "Hey, man, I really appreciate your work ethic. You're really inspiring me to change what I'm doing." And that just relights the fire again. I don't know if I answered the question, but
No, it's a good answer, and it kind of takes me to the next. You hit on two big things that seem to be obstacles for a lot of people. The I don't have enough time or I don't have enough energy. So again, being the role model, being the person who kind of breaks through those excuses by making time and by continually showing up is one way of being an example. But I don't want to say it's certainly not easier done than kind of helping somebody else get there. But if someone's telling you that, how do you convince them that there's ways to do this, or here is a way to start that journey? How are you helping them do that?
yeah, I understand people are going to have bad days. They might not have meal prepped right, and maybe they might eat some takeout or something like that. I just try to remind them where we want to be. Okay, maybe we slipped up here this one day, but let's get back on track. Let's refocus ourselves. Um, because waking up and looking at ourselves and not being happy with who we are, that should be a reminder. It should be like, we don't want to take back steps. Even if we fall, we're going to fall forward. I always say we don't suffer losses. We learn lessons.
Nicely said. How are your clients finding you currently?
Right now through Instagram mainly, Instagram, Facebook. Yeah,
Excellent. So we will
yeah.
post those links. And I, you mentioned, blue collar guys in their 30s. That's a large group. Is there someone that is listening to this that should reach out to you, Dan, saying, yes, I could use I could use some words of wisdom. I could use some guidance. Who should be making that phone call? Who should follow on Instagram?
I think anybody that's struggling with that, with wanting to make lifestyle changes, you know, even if it's just building a stronger mindset, even if people that are already going to the gym, but they still, indulge in vices, Saturdays at the bars, you know, drinks after work. There's still a little part of you probably deep inside that doesn't like those activities that you're doing. And once you knock those activities out, you're going to increase your life. You're going to save money, prolong, years into your retirement. Um, I've got clients that are 450 pounds. I have clients that are 160 pounds. You know, I think my program will help everybody out. Just reps and double time on Instagram and follow me. I'll follow you back. Send me a message and let's figure out what you're struggling with.
Very nice. And you hit the big thing there that sometimes it can be I work out all the time. I eat well 5 days a week, but there is that Saturday when I'm doing things I know I shouldn't be doing or I want to stop doing. So it's even
Right.
if that there are a lot of things trending in the right direction, there's other things that, or maybe a solo thing that we're doing that can keep us from where we want to be. And that's where seeking that expert, seeking that guidance can really help. Wrapping up here, changing gears. This we've talked about a lot of heavy topics, a lot of serious. How do you unwind? How do you relax?
At the gym, honestly. Honestly, there'll be days where I have a lot of things on my mind, and um, if if I know that I'm gonna lose my cool or break character or something, I'll walk to another room and you know I'll do like 50 push-ups or a set of burpees. Getting that negative energy out in a positive way is it's the best thing for you. Try not to break character, but far as like trying to, getting away from work and unwinding, we usually like going camping, you know. Yeah, we usually like going camping, take the trailer out. But even then, I put weights in the back of the truck, and you know, I'll plan out my meals for the 3 or 4 days we're gone, and the work for personal development shouldn't stop because you're on vacation.
And that's a wonderful point that if you want to find an excuse, you can, especially when it comes to working out. It's too early, it's too dark, it's too cold. There's not enough time. I'm on vacation, I'm camping. I was going to ask, so
Yeah.
you pack weights. What else are you doing while you're away from the gym to stay in shape? Is there a routine that you have for an outdoor workout, or I'm sure you have it down at this point?
Mostly just body weight stuff. That's usually when I'll run more. I'll get more cardio in. I usually don't do a whole lot of cardio, but running, swimming, yeah. We like to do game nights here at the house with the family. That's always fun, and they're impromptu most of the times. Everybody's just sitting around doing nothing, and one of the kids will say, "Let's play a game. Let's play some cards or something."
Best kind of game night.
Yeah.
We'll end here, Daniel. We've gone through a lot. I tend to jump around, and I feel like I've done that again here. But what's one question I didn't ask you that I probably should have?
Probably about my work accident, getting my face blown up and having them skin graft surgeries. But if anybody else wants to know the rest of that story, come follow me on Instagram. I talk about it quite a bit.
We will post that link. Daniel, thank you for joining us. This has been wonderful, and I wish you nothing but continued success and good luck going forward, my friend.
All right. Thanks, Mike.